Hi there, hey, Mr. Bills here again. We are going to start working on our Zendoodle, and there are a few steps to it. So first you just want to get the idea, and you do need to have kind of a theme. It makes it communicate an idea, and it doesn't have to be this in-depth kind of real serious theme. It can be something just kind of visual. So here you just want to kind of, and I have these lightly done, I can do them darker so you can see. These are your thumbnails. Just get some thumbnail ideas. Don't just get set on one idea. You can absolutely look online to do some clip art. If you wanted to, I have my ideas up here. If you wanted to do leaves, I have leaves written right there. And you can look up different leaves on clip art. You can make up leaves yourself. I'm just going to make this one up. So I can have overlapping leaves for a bit, and I'm just making this up as I go along. You can have smaller leaves and leaves going in different directions, and in between some leaves you can set up some other stripes and so on. You can have the veins going, all those kinds of things. The three big things we're going to be looking for, as in most of our artwork, is repetition, variety, and contrast. So I'll kind of go over a little bit of those as we design. So obviously repetition, leaves, and you don't have to have 100 leaves. You could have 4 or 5 and then do some other things in between, um, and you can still have that idea of leaves as your theme. And in the slideshow you'll see some other ones, and I'll show you a few others here too. So let's say it's a turtle. There's a cool turtle one in the slideshow that we'll show you. So let's say it was a turtle, and I already have this drawn lightly, and then you let's say it's a turtle or a tortoise, whatever one this one is, underwater. And you could just kind of, for now, sketch in what you might do on the shell. You could just get an idea. Maybe you want it to look like it's kind of going through water, so you can do different things in there. You could do things like shapes of seaweed that kind of go in the background to fill in some of that space. And we will be filling in the entire rectangle with our Zendoodle and our color. Another idea, you could do clouds. You could look at real clouds. You could look at clip art. So again, if you want to get something kind of graphic, and this drawing can be graphic, which means it doesn't have to be realistic. We're going to get some other things going on here. We will be doing some nice shading and blending and all that with some interesting textures, but again, it does not have to be completely realistic. You could do more clouds back in the distance. You could, in the sky, you could have stripes and maybe other clouds looking like they're going behind the stripes or whatever. I'm just making it up as I go. You're going to see one that's just circles. Something as simple as circles could be your theme, and maybe concentric circles, and maybe each one has some kind of a split, like a wheel or something. That's totally up to you too. You could be something, and you'll see this. You could do something that there's a lot of swirls kind of happening that might even overlap each other with some. Let me see. Let me draw that a little darker. Or these look like snail shells to me. They could be snail shells. And again, this is just real quick ideas. So get those thumbnails working, and you're gonna land on one that you like, and then start to refine it a little bit. I would like you to have at least 3 ideas like this, and I'm gonna have you take a picture of your thumbnails. I want to see that process of you thinking of what you're going to do. And these drawings don't have to be done, not at all. Like this is fine. You would not have to go any farther than what I just did on mine right here. And that could be an idea. All right, so when you start to go onto your pre-sketch paper, here is kind of the setup. You can see I have a border right here, and this is your 9 by 12 paper. Okay, 9 by 12. And again, on the rest of the slideshow, you'll see some slides that kind of remind you of some of these things. We are going to do a border, and this border can either be a 1/4 inch border, so be careful, make that 1/4 inch, or it can then um, connect those two dots, making that side of the border. Or you can take another pencil, and this is almost exactly a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to line up the edge of the pencil with, let me get the camera going that way, with the edge of the paper. I'm going to close one eye to make sure it's right there, then just make a little mark, just like kind of measuring out a 1/4 of an inch, and do the same thing here. Then you can take your ruler and connect it up. Okay, so then on here you're going to start, let's say I'm going to do those snail shells, and I'm going to just start to lightly sketch them out. This is something where you're going to make your mistakes. You're going to change your mind. You're going to not like something and really like something else. And I'm going to let these overlap. I would definitely think about letting some of your image, your theme, hit the edge of the paper. I wouldn't keep them all right in here. So my next snail shell might go way out here, and then maybe bump into that one, that kind of thing. So you're going to start to develop your pre-sketch like that, and then, and I won't finish this because that's not necessary, we've done pre-sketches before, then make sure your pre-sketch is nice and dark. I think you should probably go a little farther than just this on your pre-sketch. If you were going to do representation, we find snails, say, in the grass. But you don't have to be this literal with it, not at all. I could have, let me see, let me finish this line. Up here, I could have something that just kind of represents grass. And this Zendoodle does not have to be everything with a ruler. It can be a little bit kind of freehand. Okay, that's totally okay. Absolutely okay. So these might look like just zigzags, but they represent grass. And I could do maybe, grass in a different way, maybe this kind of thing that goes across. And then inside here is where you can just kind of start doing some fill-in. Let's see, let's go like that. And I'm just making it up as I go. And that's kind of what you do. And this is about as much information as you want for your pre-sketch. Not just the shells, but kind of how you're going to fill in the space. Eventually, you're going to get in there with even do more detail and more detail with ink, just by adding some of those kinds of features. Or inside the little blade of grass, you might have, polka dots, that sort of thing, to help get that repetition and that variety going in the textures. So there's your pre-sketch. Then all you have to do is trace that onto Bristol board, just like we've done in the past. I don't have to show you how to do that, but again, don't leave it too blank. You do want to do a few details, but not down to the tiniest details. All right, so then I have a couple samples here to look at really fast, and you're going to see these on the slideshow. So here's an owl. I'm not showing that one. Here's an owl, and then some of the details. This one will be in color on the slideshow. Here is one on yellow paper for some reason, and you'll see this kind of before, middle, and after. On the slideshow, this is in color. But you can see how you can kind of start to fill in some of the details after you start doing the inking. This is how it is at first, then you start to fill in. So this is, let's see, that circle right there is the same as this one, and then inside here I did those little spikes. And there it is, nice and big. Oh, I forgot I had this. And here it is in color. Okay, but again, you'll see this. I'll bring this one back in a moment. There are a few other ones in there that just are there to help you see different types of textures and patterns that you can do if you want to. Don't do something this intricate and detailed. This will take you forever and you'll drive yourself crazy. Unless you're one of those people that just love to do that and you love to spend hours, it's almost like therapy for some people to do that. I know I like to do that sometimes, but it's not necessary. Feathers is another idea. I would still have more things in here. This was done for a different reason. You'll see this one in the slideshow. This one I want to show you because it has a good, remember the idea of repetition, variety, and contrast. So the kind of line that you create needs to have variety as well. Okay, so I would think some of your major shapes, like these swirls, see they're done a little thicker. Now, I did not hand out Sharpies to you guys in your art packet. If you have a Sharpie, you can use a Sharpie for those big shapes, and then the rest of it needs to be done in one of those smaller ink pens that I gave you. Okay, so don't do everything in Sharpie. It gets a little clunky that way. Plus, this way it gives you nice variety of line quality. And you can see how I'm starting to fill in some of these places with pencil first. You can see those little marks right there. You can see I did these little marks right here, almost look like a keyhole. I did them in pencil first, lightly, and then inked it over. Okay, so don't just make stuff up in ink, because once you put the ink down, it's set for good. You want to have an idea of what you're going to do. This one's a little small. It's just a sample. I wanted to show you this one too. These are just a couple of little samples to talk about color. Excuse me. And I want to. Now I have the autofocus off, so I'm gonna. Here is the color and how you want to think about applying color. You want to do this in some nice coloring and blending and shading kinds of things. So I have some little marks here that help make it look a little bit darker on that part of the section. So I'm gonna go darker with my red and let it fade away. Okay, please do not just do flat tones everywhere. Some flat tones are fine, but it's going to look much more sophisticated and more kind of professional quality, more impressive, if that's what you want to say, if some of these or many of these colors blend into each other and fade away, and you can totally let some of the white of the paper show through. Here you can see I have these spheres, these circles made, and now they look like they're a sphere because I've created that little highlight right here and gotten some colored pencil to work with. I really like to see you blend some colors. So in this leaf, there's this green, and you can see how I left that little light strip right there so the dark would not blend too much in with the dark ink. It's a nice little feature. We've done that kind of stuff before, like on the kaleidoscope, if you did that last year. But I'm going to take some yellow out here and blend into the green. And some yellow out here and blend into the green, just to kind of give it a little bit of a color pop. So it's not real obvious, but all those things look really good, and maybe you can see the difference. Go back a moment or two in the slideshow, so you can, or the video here, so you can see that happening. So there you go. Like this one, there's some yellow first, and then there's some orange that fades into the yellow. Okay, and yours is going to kind of be like this. It's going to kind of be unfinished at first, and then you'll go in here with some pencil, and kind of figure out what you're going to do next. Maybe some triangles in here. Some of those patterns. Then maybe inside of there, you're going to do some lines that get farther away from each other, that sort of thing. Okay, so it's not gonna, you may not know what the whole thing is going to look like once you get the basic quality of the, like on this one, just on the circles, I had no idea what that was going to look like. On this one, remember I talked about you can be a little loose with it. All these circles were made freehand. I didn't use a compass, and I intentionally let these circles be concentric but off. So this next circle is not exactly in the center of this one. See how this circle right here is a little bit off. It does not, it's not like a perfect circle inside of a circle. Okay, so There you go. Hopefully that makes sense with the experience that you've had. I didn't show you every single last detail. I think some of the steps are becoming intuitive for you. And let's just go with that. And you want to make sure to take a look at the slideshow that all of these are attached to for the next slides after this video. All right, and then I'll help you along the way. Again, you can look up different flowers, you can look up different butterflies, you can look up lizards and ladybugs and whatever you need to just to get your idea started and your version of a ladybug or a fire or a lizard or a snake or a feather. All that's going to be up to you. But really do, guys, use that thumbnail. Do those thumbnails. Artists usually go through some ideas before they settle on one. So at least 3 ideas. Back to the beginning right there. Okay, we'll talk to you more in class. Bye.